better leave it to the professionals.
Blessed by Gandhi, blah, blah, blah.
Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been goated when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Call her Era Lord. Call me Levi, playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky, Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney, Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on some rock, and I'm sipping on octane. The only thing around my neck is the
Started off with a
blockchain.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like LeBron James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. The field's not falling for the FOMO. Listening to Coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gonna stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum entities. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I got a shout out
Started
to
off with a
40.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Breaking the mood to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in suits. Yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, mighty, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. I had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. So I had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the drive with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
GM, welcome to Coffee with Captain. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Cap, joined by Outer today on audio spaces, not on video yet. We are live streaming on X as well as, we're X audio and X video, as well as YouTube and abstract video. Appreciate y'all being here. GM to all the early GMers. Appreciate you out there. Teacher Katie coming in hot with the big Pingu tip to kick things off over on abstract. Greatly appreciate that, Katie. Appreciate you and all the YouTubers. Thomas, Absolute Zero, Yari, Corona. Appreciate all the GMs helping us get warmed up this morning. Again, welcome to Coffee with Captain. We're live here every Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern time. Even next week with a little bit of travel, but we will be powering through. Looking forward to seeing many of you out in Las Vegas for the Bitcoin conference and Dominion out there. And then we are back to the other coast for in Miami for Consensus Week. Conference season is here. GM Outer, how you doing today? Yeah, we got you. I'm trying to think. I guess Art Basel last year would have been the last actual conference I was at. So 4 or 5 months ago, I guess. Yeah. Before that, I did Ape Fest, also in Vegas. Can't hear Outer on YouTube. 1 second. Let me make sure. Oh, it's my fault. Should be correct. Let's get a quick mic check on Outer.
Test.
Absolute zero. Block Mage, did you hear Outer there? I think you hopefully did, because the mic input was flipped back to the MacBook, which it does from time to time. But we should be good now. So let us know if we got all audio, and we will keep things moving. Mayhem says we're good to go. So is Diablito. Thomas says no outer for no audio, but maybe Thomas might be a you issue, because it looks like everyone else can hear now. So unless you were just delayed a little bit, maybe a little bit of lag with Thomas. But GM everyone, GM Blockmage, GM Mario, GM Dobbins, appreciate you all being out there. Outer, it's been a kind of a busy week since we had you on last Tuesday. I mean, we had a couple of DeFi exploits, not great. We had a just absolute floors ripping across NFT land. I think Apes might be up 2x since you were on last week. A lot of good in real life events, and Biggie getting announced as CEO, making a lot of moves already, including talking about turning on an OTC desk for Grails this week. We'll hit on that this morning, get your thoughts on that. But I guess before we get into the fun stuff on the NFT side, anything, how deep were you in this DeFi exploit? Did you see what went down with KelpDAO and Aave? And then we talked about it yesterday on the show. I said I remember Blast doing a rollback back when they got exploited. It was the Munchables app, and they just rolled back the chain, and to which I was kind of for. Like, I'm all for decentralization, but sometimes if there's a breaker switch, if there's a kill switch, and you can save tens or hundreds of millions of dollars, do it. Like, if it's there, take advantage of it, like, and deal with a little bit of FUD. And lo and behold, that's exactly what Arbitrum did. While they haven't recovered all of the hundreds of millions of dollars they did, I think it was $70 or $80 million they prevented North Korea from getting following the exploit. But yeah, did you see this? Thoughts on, and I guess, did you see it? And if you did, thoughts on Arbitrum rolling the chain back? And is that, do you agree with me that when they can, they should save the user funds, or do you side more with the purists, the decentralized maxis, to say, hey, this isn't true DeFi if there's a central arm, even if it is a governance vote that can roll things back? Thoughts?
I'm very surface level aware, but it reminds me of, I don't know do you remember back in, I want to say when 2015, 2016, this is me going into my brain without any AI agentic or Google help here. So I'm sure people listening can can remember, but Ethereum had this, right? Like a long time ago, back, over a decade ago, there was a decision made to prevent money being taken from Ethereum. And so they did a full-on, air quotes, centralized event where they prevented money from being stolen. And forever now until ever, it's going to be the one thing that's well, Ethereum is not purely decentralized because of that one time back in its nascent origin days, they prevented some kind of attack. Anyways, I'd have to look this up to remember exactly what it was called, but it just reminds me of this idea of purism and pure decentralization versus almost some common sense in a way, when the entirety of an ecosystem is being attacked. It doesn't, I feel like decentralization maybe has these two levels of, there's the individual where, if you do something and your stuff gets taken away, there's no customer service for you to call and complain about it, right? But this just kind of seems like it goes beyond that, where an entire ecosystem gets affected. So it's almost it's not just at the individual level now. This is the entirety of every single person that's affected and involved. So yeah, I don't know. I understand the purist take, right? Because it makes sense. Like it's pretty binary. Either you never, pull a lever and you just let it be, or you do, and once you do, then it's no longer decentralized. Like I get that very like binary purist take, but I think like there's also the common sense take of, do you really want all of the the funds to be stolen? That has a huge major impact on the entire thing. So yeah, I don't know. It's very nuanced, but I've not been following it in, like, you gave me more details than even I knew, except for knowing that there was some breaches going on.
So back to the one you're referencing, 2015, 2016, I think. It was the hard fork, the DAL exploit.
That's right.
And
yeah,
it was roughly, I didn't remember the amount. I had to do some checking on this, but roughly, it was also prior to my time, but in at least as an active participant anyways, but roughly 3.6 million ETH was drained from the DAO smart contract. The ETH community adopted a hard fork that moved the affected funds into a recovery contract so victims could withdraw them. The chain that adopted the fork kept the name Ethereum, while the chain that rejected it continued on as Ethereum Classic. Ethereum Classic still trades today. So yes, ETH forked to prevent reverse money loss from an exploit. It was July of 2016. Not a rollback per se, but more an actual hard fork, and it resulted in ETH and ETH Classic.
Any Bitcoin purist is going to point and say that Bitcoin is like the only true decentralized chain, right? Because of that blip in Ethereum's reputation.
Meanwhile, because of quantum computing, there actually might need to be a hard fork on Bitcoin in order to like prevent Satoshi's wallet actually being able to be accessed.
I have no idea who's talking, but
Imlo.
Yeah, that's the greatest irony of it all.
Yeah, no. I guess do you, Imlo, do you think we get a hard fork?
Oh, hi, Imlo. Sorry, it doesn't show up that you're a speaker for me.
X, if anyone's having issues on X audio, this is my extra shield for any love on Spaces today. Anytime there's an X update, it often nerfs us. People have issues getting on stage. People have issue hearing and seeing people on stage. I did just see right before I jumped on the show that there was unfortunately, not unfortunately, this is what it is. There was another X update, and unfortunately, that will lead to issues from time to time. So yeah, not sure.
It was really hilarious because I knew you weren't speaking anymore, but I had like no idea. Like, wait a minute, what just happened? Hi, Imlo.
Hi. Yeah, so what I was saying is, because of quantum computing, that actually might need to happen for Bitcoin. I honestly don't know of any other solutions that seem feasible besides doing a hard fork.
To prevent quantum computing nerfing the old Bitcoin wallets, basically.
Correct.
Yeah, I have not been following. I did see there's a group of Bitcoin devs working on this solution. I guess my question would be like, and then what? Like, does it, like, are they confident? Like, what's their confidence level it actually prevents the quantum issue? It's just stuff that's too big brain for me to even understand, what this, how do you guard against this quantum computing, and how does...
Well, I think the bigger problem is, before Bitcoin can get cracked, you have so many other things that will be messed up by quantum computing, from 4-digit PIN codes to I don't know, social security numbers. So there are much bigger problems. Even though people are saying quantum computing is an inherent problem for Bitcoin, it's also an inherent problem for the banking system and for literally every other system right now as well. So there are a lot of things that need to be ironed out over the next few years.
Yeah, I agree. Far more than just Bitcoin. That said, I feel Bitcoin does have some exposure there because code is law, right? If they whether it be some AI or some human leverages quantum computing to hack Bitcoin wallets, there's like no reversal.
Well, I think that's the greatest irony in like the very root of especially Bitcoin purists who are like, oh, Ethereum is bad because it did that hard fork. Ethereum is most likely to become like one of the big players that will actually be able to do something to solve a quantum problem should that arise,
Mhm.
because they can get consensus quicker than than anybody on Bitcoin, who has like such a huge, I think, disparity in what they believe Bitcoin should be or shouldn't be.
Yeah, it is interesting. It's kind of ironic that this is like now ETH, because it can be upgraded, is getting some love from the code is law purists out there. All that being said, I'm for what Arbitrum did here. I'll pull it up on screen so you can see the the communication directly from them. But before I do that,
what Arbitrum did just makes me so not confident in L2s in general, though.
Explain why.
Because if Arbitrum can freeze funds, then they can freeze funds. Obviously, not that they can freeze funds across the board, but like there is a kill switch in there. It's not sufficiently decentralized as
Can you
people
Can you guys tell the army what they actually did? Because I don't know. I know what Ethereum did, but I don't know what Arbitrum did. Did they just actually freeze funds?
Yep. So not necessarily freeze funds.
I think they not just froze funds. I think they also stole it from the thief. They transferred it to a different wallet.
So here's directly from Arbitrum, the post on screen for those watching video. The Arbitrum Security Council has taken emergency action to freeze the 30,766 ETH being held in the address on Arbitrum 1 that is connected to the Kelp DAO exploit. The Security Council acted with input from law enforcement as to the exploiter's identity, and at times weighed its commitment to security and the integrity of the Arbitrum community without impacting Arbitrum's users or applications. After significant technical diligence and deliberation, the Security Council identified and executed a technical approach to move funds to safety without affecting any other chain state or Arbitrum users. As of April 20th, 11:26 p.m., the funds have successfully been transferred to an intermediary frozen wallet. They are no longer accessible to the address that originally held the funds and can only be moved by further action by the Arbitrum governance, which will be coordinated with relevant parties. So as opposed to rolling back the chain or hard forking the chain, they basically moved funds from this exploiter's wallet into another wallet that is basically frozen and can only be moved with a governance vote. I don't know, Mamlo. I think this is like the better than rolling back the chain.
I'm not saying it's not the better of the things. I'm saying I'm just bearish on L2s in general because they can do things like this.
I take the other stance. I say this is bullish L2s because they can do this. Like, this is part of the problem with, I don't think I think like the idea of mass adoption and institutions using crypto to settle payments and having trillions of dollars on chain, especially with the new threat of AI, especially with the threat of quantum computing, I think it's actually more likely that big money looks to transact and have funds, whether it's a strategic reserve, whether it's an operating account, whether it's just payments being processed. I think it's much more likely they're going to do this on an L2 environment, where in the case of a multi-million-dollar exploit, in the case of a hack, in the case of, again, throw out the quantum computing, in case something happens that puts user funds at risk, I think they like the circuit breaker. I think there's value. I think this actually adds this is a feature, not a bug for L2s, that they can prevent North Korea from stealing hundreds of millions of dollars.
I agree on that. I think it's I feel what Emlo was saying, though, because decentralization, like punks, also in support of that. But like when you're thinking of like mass onboarding and then people come into crypto, like this stuff, it happens anyway before this, because it's like, when like USDC, they like freeze assets and like these like terms of like money laundering and all that. There's like some rules in place, but I'm for this. I'm for decentralization, right? But the main issue here is like these synthetic, like crypto tokens, right? Like synthetic stables, synthetic ETH, like you like stake something, and then they like say, oh, this is your placeholder, and then you take that, and then you get another something else, and then you stake that and another something else, and the platforms are like, so instead of that 5%, you're getting like more because we're like, rotating all that into other yields and pools and all that. And then whenever that happens, I never see a good thing happen. Even like in that movie for like real estate, right? The Too Short, what is it that?
The Big Short.
Yeah, it's just synthetic derivatives, I think, right? Simple Farmer can go into details on that, I think.
I see some hands here. Let's get Jesus in here, and then we'll bring Simple Farmer into the conversation. Jesus, go ahead. Thoughts on this Arbitrum rolling back, or not rolling back, moving funds?
Yeah, GM. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like we're in a situation where like everybody wants decentralization, but we want centralization because we want the masses to come in. We want banks to, incorporate crypto into everyday use. Like, so we want pieces of it, and then we don't. Like, I think if a chain is trying to recover funds, I think that's good to freeze wallets. We've seen it happen in the past. When what Bitcoin's going to do about quantum, I have the slightest clue. The same with Ethereum, same with AVAX, any other chain that hasn't been building for this from day one. Everything's going to have to fork. They're going to have to figure out a way to upgrade and protect themselves, because all the things that we're seeing happening right now, like, Google put out that 2029 is when they expect, full quantum output. And I think that time frame gets lowered. I think we see it go into 2028 because things are just moving so fast and so fast. And a lot of people don't realize that, like, to have a quantum computer, the cooling stages of this, it has to be colder than outer space. Like the computers are so hot. It's like the tech behind it is extremely wild. I've been working with Diem for about the past 6 months, and the things that I'm learning about this and how exposed other chains are and how we all are. Like, you seen, I think who was it? Jameson Loop. He was wanting to use BIP 316s for freezing old wallets and like Satoshi's wallet, and until they can figure out a way to upgrade Bitcoin to protect all that money, because it's like $9.5 billion or something. It's a lot of money. And then you have other people that are like, no, you can't freeze wallets because then that it's going to tank Bitcoin. There's just so many different arguments to it. I just think you have, like, people are being proactive. Coinbase, has an advisory panel they just put out of the brightest minds from MIT and Harvard and all these, elite Ivy League colleges that are working on quantum security. Ethereum Foundation doing the same thing. BlackRock invested $57 million into a company out of Denmark that is close to developing, their quantum computer. Google has a Willow chip. Like, there's so many things. And a lot of people don't realize, and I can't remember the name of the system, like the internet itself is like actually built on, but we're running on like 30, 25-year-old tech. That's why Mythos when that was developed, they reached out to Google and all these other, major infrastructures and was like, you guys need to fix your shit. Like, if you guys think that like these things that we're seeing with Aave and all these, Lazarus Group and all these people attacking, like, bro, quantum's, it's going to be gone in nanoseconds.
Like, I feel like Vitalik covered this. I'm trying to remember now. It was like the trilemma, right? Didn't he talk about how you can only achieve 2 of the 3 things? And it was decentralization, security. What was the third one? Scalability. That's it. Decentralization, security, and scalability. And how, like, if you can only have 2 of these 3 at like any point in time, and it's extremely difficult to have all 3 of them. And I don't feel like we're getting any closer to solving that.
Yeah, I mean, this is for like bigger brains than I think than anyone in the space. It's insanely wild when I talk to the founder of Diem about this. and he's telling me like where the exact capabilities are and what the talk is and the, in the background, and the whole timeline freaks out when some big entity talks about quantum computing, and then nobody really does any research on it and how close we actually are. Michael Saylor says, "Oh, we're not, I'm not worried about quantum computing," but I'm telling you, man, it's
Well,
wild.
And I think there's also like when I think about this in terms of like, okay, quantum computing and the doom and gloom of that coming and wrecking things that we know and love. But at the same time, like, what is the quantum chain then that comes and like the whole like elliptic curve problem will be a nothing burger, but there's going to be some new thing that has to come and replace all this. And I think there's like kind of two schools of thought, or I guess two things that need to be considered. One is, how do we preserve the things that we know and love, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. Cap mentioned banking, whatever, like all the things that are affected by this if this comes into play. But then there's also the other side of it, which is, yes, there's the security piece for the things we know and love, but then what new innovation comes out and what new chain comes out. And I know there's a couple, I think, now that apparently say they're quantum proof, but I'm really talking about like when the technology is here and already in play, what will be like the dawn of the new, like, I don't know, Web 13 or whatever you want to call it. Like, I don't know what cryptography will look like when you have quantum computing.
Well, so a lot of the chains that are out there, and even there's no chain that's quantum proof. They have quantum resilient pieces in their stack, So even like Diem is quantum resilient because they built the chain, from the ground up. They've been working on this for 8 years. You also have QRL, you have Cellframe. So there's chains out there that are trying to actively solve this before the situation gets here. And those chains are going to be the ones where you're going to see like this Zcash moment where all of a sudden it's like, what the hell is this? The thing that I like to compare like this early quantum talk to is the very early days of Bitcoin. I remember when Bitcoin first came out, my oldest brother came to me and my other 3 brothers and said, "Hey, I need $10,000 a piece from y'all." And we're like, "Why?" He's like, "Because I want to start mining Bitcoin." And we're like, "What the hell is that?" And we had heard about it, and we thought he was crazy. The week prior, he told us he's seen Bigfoot in his backyard. And we're like, "No, we're not giving you $30,000. And then now he's passed away now. And now like I am just like 100% all Web3 the last 5 years. And I'm like, fuck, man, I should have gave this dude 10 G's. And, so I look at it as like the quantum talk right now is like, people are talking about it. They're, they think of Terminator and whatever and the end of the world, but they just brush it off because it's years down the road. And then we're going to look up at a blink of an eye. And it's not just crypto that's exposed. It's, it's everything we do in our life. It's infrastructure, it's government infrastructure. And your bro in their mom's basement's not going to have a quantum computer. These are only going to be, you just have top governments right now that are building or working with quantum computing. Because
I think that's kind of the fundamental
expensive
difference, though, between like I was also there when Bitcoin started and participated in that. But the sentiment then was that you could be a bro in the basement and participate in the initial, like when Bitcoin started, like anyone could play if you just actually were daring enough and curious enough, and that was enough. But I think this is a little bit different in that, like to your point, yes, it's not going to be everybody in their basement, but also this is like almost like a preservation idea. This is not like the innovation. This is more like, how do we preserve the stuff that we've been talking about for a long time and that we, have a lot of money invested in and a lot of sentiment around and feel a certain type of way about whatever, chains that we're interested in and that we know and love. And like, Bitcoin being, I guess, the daddy chain and everything else around that. But like, at the very, very beginning of this, nobody cared. Like that's the whole you bringing up like that is the very narrative that I hear all the time. It's like, well, how did you know to buy some? It's like, well, you just had to be crazy enough, right?
You
had
to have the balls to do it. And that's the thing.
And that's fine. But now this isn't about like being crazy or brave or weird or any of that. This is literally like, do we save this? Does it matter to save it, or is it the dawn of something new? And I'm really like, yes, I'm here for saving things, and I'm sure there's like a ton of effort going into that. But I'm mostly curious about the dawn of the new. Like, what is the new quantum proof Bitcoin built on quantum computing? That's what I'm most interested in.
Yeah, no, and it's a good thought process, but like we need the leaders of Bitcoin who's building on Bitcoin to figure that step out. And I do think there has to be a hard fork for pretty much every chain.
I gotta imagine Saylor's weighed in on this. No, has he commented on the threat of quantum and the idea of a hard fork, or
he has, and he's just kind of brushed it off. From what I remember, I'm gonna ask ChatGPT right now. What is the last statement?
Yeah, his CEO responded to that in one podcast. They were both together, and basically they said, "Okay, if quantum comes, then of course there's gonna be quantum coming in to defend it as well." So, like antivirus, you know.
We need John McAfee back.
I mean, but like, I don't even think we reached the point of quantum computing before something is exposed just through the advancement of AI where we're at. I mean, Anthropic doesn't even want to release Mythos out to the public because it's so dangerous, because they want to give, all these companies time to secure their networks. So like, what happens when the guy in his basement just basically comes up with Mythos or something powerful on his own? Every day we're seeing new updates, new upgrades, new things, everybody's wowed or it's improving their life. But I mean, man, it's wild times right now.
Let's do this. I do want to get, since we have Jesus up here, I want to get Jesus' take on and his current thoughts on Abstract as Z announced yesterday. They're going to be leaving the chain. Before we go there, though, I want to stick with this Arbitrum / protecting user fund conversation. And Simple Farmer, I know you're deep in the Arbitrum ecosystem and close with, I don't know if anyone on the Security Council, but close with the team over there. How do you feel? Like, is this, do you agree with me? This is more of a feature than a bug, that they can freeze or move funds from a wallet that's exploited, in this case, KelpDAO, and stolen hundreds of millions of funds, which, indirectly are user funds, albeit in DeFi, they, a lot of users stand to get hurt by this if not recovered. And I am curious your thoughts, like the right move by Arbitrum is code law. They shouldn't have messed with it. How do you net it on this? And then any other thoughts as it relates to whether it be just Arbitrum or the conversation's kind of bridged into Bitcoin and the threat of quantum computing, and should they hard fork? Thoughts on Arbitrum's move here, Simple Farmer?
Yeah, and GM everybody. It's absolutely a feature of Arbitrum One that they have this security parameter. People have to understand, for us to get these giga corporations that have immense amounts of liquidity on chain, the cost of insurance would essentially outweigh the benefits of doing this. So Arbitrum having the security layer is one of the reasons the likes of like Robinhood and BlackRock have selected that specific L2 for their deployment of their assets. Now, I think it's kind of funny that it's a centralized process that rooted from layer 0 and honestly mistakes made with the configuration there that caused this, but it's also a centralized process that recovered some of those funds. So I do see the justice in that.
Is layer 0 cooked? This seems like this is not their first issue. And I saw KelpDAO came out and basically blamed layer 0, like, hey, we trusted their documentation. Yeah, we got exploited, but it's layer 0's fault. It's not often you see protocols passing blame, in this case, to effectively a bridge, right?
Yeah, I mean, they have $270 million worth of reasons to fight their case on both sides. I think it's incredibly, it's an incredibly bad move on the part of the DAO to create a bridge that was only supported by one DVM. That's just silly, especially considering the amount of assets they have flowing through. But I have a larger problem with layer 0's model. I think they're going to have to improve in that the OFT standard itself utilizes mintable tokens. So the tokens, when they go from one chain to another, mint on the new chain rather than being escrowed and released. I've fought against this for a long time. I think layer 0 is going to evolve and improve, but I think it's more of an instance of a plane crash happening, and actually most these never happen. But I think in general, Cap, when we look at the space as a whole, people need to zoom out, and it's such a cliche to say we're early, but we're very much in the caterpillar stage of crypto. We're not even at the cocoon or butterfly level. And with the caterpillar stage, what we have is on-chain corporations creating protocols and then taking fees and earning revenue. We see that from OpenSea. We see that from like Uniswaps, Layer Zero, etc. Long term, all of these processes are going to be, I believe, mostly smart contracts based and mostly peer to peer. And at that point, it's a really, really perfect and improved process as a whole. So it's just going to take a lot of time. But in general, crypto was made, like the cyberpunk vision was made to move away from corporations, that can cause corruption and problems with money. It's very much a financial tool that fought against this. And right now we're in the early stage. So what we have is corporations controlling all of these assets. And those centralization points are our only points of failure we're seeing.
I saw Drew flew up. I know we said we'd get to Zeet abstract convo briefly, but Drew, I'm assuming you came up to talk a little bit about Arbitrum and this, I guess the recovery or partial recovery of this exploit. Feel free to comment on that or any direction you'd like.
Yeah, I think it's always so funny for all the folks that are complaining on the timeline. Like, if this happened and then the let's just call them hackers, were able to actually get the 250 million off, and let's say Layer Zero tanked and all these users lost their fund, then they would all be touting on the timeline, why isn't there a security council?
Exactly. That's how I feel too. It's like
that she said, like, it's so dumb. And all these people that are complaining, if they had funds stolen on Arbitrum,
you'd want your funds back.
Oh, good.
You'd want your funds back. Find one person who's, I lost $1 million due to this exploit. There's a chance to get your $1 million back, but you're really going to say, nope, sorry, code is law. I don't want my $1 million back. Let it go. And is there not, like, it's not just any random hacker. It's North Korea. Like, you really would rather side with the Lazarus group taking your funds and doing who knows what with it versus like returning it to real users. Like,
it's all these people. Like, if they were to get funds stolen on any chain, then they're the ones that would be crying in the DM saying, is there anything you can do? Right? Like, it's all the people that are just crying on the timeline. I mean, this doesn't make Arbitrum any less or more centralized or decentralized. They were able to move $175 million unaffected anything else. They didn't have to pause the chain. They didn't have to affect any other wallets, nothing. And if any of these people went and looked at the forum, right, and the Arbitrum DAO voted for the Arbitrum Security Council, like, they have a lot of responsibility. And it's not like they just did this. They had to work with law enforcement. They had to track. They had to get approval. It's a 9 of 12 multi-sig in order to do this. Like, this is their whole responsibility. And I don't know. It's just, like, mornings like this, it just kind of cracks me up.
If not this, why even have a security council? Mario adds, security council gets paid nearly $1 million. That's why they're there. And yeah, if they're not going to step in and prevent, in this case, $70-80 million from getting in the hands of hackers, why even have them, right?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense. I also didn't like Justin Sun put out a tweet, kind of dogging on Arbitrum about the decentralization, and I thought that was very, very, very funny. Him saying that Tron is more decentralized. That was pretty funny, and he was actually being serious.
Decentralized because of, like, he's got 17 servers and is spread out across the 17 homes.
And they've frozen funds with or without law enforcement. They've frozen the wrong funds. I mean, it's like,
I am curious.
I'm a fan of Tron, but it's like, come on, dude. Like, are you really dogging during this time?
Are we able to expand upon law enforcement? Because everything I saw, this was the Lazarus Group, or at least who's been attributed to this. So, like, is it, when they say, is it more like Homeland Security? Like, what law enforcement's getting and said, yeah, you should keep these funds from leaving? Like, is it?
So anytime you are freezing funds, it's a little different for Arbitrum. I'm not 100% sure, but with USDC or USDT, because they're obviously US entities, there has to be a court order approved in the US. Typically, it's going to be New York, and you typically should not freeze funds without that court order. Now, in order to actually do that with USDC or USDT, USDC's been sitting on their ass, and obviously we've all seen what happens on timeline from that. USDT's been moving fast. I'm not a fan of USDT personally, but because they are U.S. entities, without having the authoritarian, bylaw breaking, that is the route they have to go. I don't know what that means with Arbitrum, but nonetheless, I mean, the first thing that anyone does, SEAL or any other group, is submitting a court order to go ahead and get that approved. So that way, if they need to reach out to an entity, they can already say, hey, it is indeed. We got the court order. Like, don't worry about any of that. Just move fast.
Yeah, that I appreciate this decentralized nature. I enjoy DeFi. I can appreciate code and I just, at the end of the day, decentralization is good. You could say this is decentralized. It's just it's 9 out of 12 votes, not thousands of decentralized nodes that are in control. Okay. Like I'm guessing the Security Council are known actors. Is that accurate or no?
Yeah. They're either like superstar individual security researchers, or they're actual entities, like security entities. It's probably some of the top tier in the space. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you also look at, I think it was Grit's post. I mean, this wasn't like they all just signed something, didn't meet. I mean, he was saying he gave a really good explanation. They were deliberating for hours. They took everything into consideration, and this was the best other entities to go ahead and do this. So it's not like they just willy-nilly went and it's like, yeah, let's do it.
Cap, one example, Zach XBT is on the Arbitrum Security Council.
Got it. Yeah, I applaud them. I guess here's the other thing, like, is the remainder of this, because it wasn't all, is the remainder just gone? Is there any possibility of that also being secured or saved? Maybe isn't the right word. By the way, having ongoing issues with X, I apologize. It looks like the space has gotten rugged. Can you all hear me still?
Yeah, it looks like there's 5%.
Yeah, got you.
Yeah.
It definitely just rugged. I got an error on StreamYard that said the videos were down, and it looks like the only people in spaces right now are the 6 speakers.
Oh my God. Let me try and come in on an alt account.
Happened all day today, man. All day.
The copy with Captain Security Council.
Yeah.
That's it. Here we go.
We
We're
spent
gonna
way too
talk
much
all
time.
the
Yeah.
I only joined the space so I could listen to it.
We you know what's not rugged? YouTube continues without fail. X, I don't know what to do here. X definitely rugged.
Captain, reminded me of a funny thing when you guys were talking about the freeze. Do you remember on OpenSea, they used to like flag the items, like you show them the law enforcement letter, and then the guy who took the bid would end up like losing because like his assets frozen, but he has like nothing to do with the hack.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was always screwed up. Like that had nothing. Gosh, yeah. Sometimes they still do that too, and especially the OpenSea being the only marketplace now. It's like, all right, you're still just screwing over the innocent buyer.
No one's talking about that, by the way. How OpenSea has won by like being the last man standing. Like every other marketplace is like pivoted out. They're doing casinos, or they've tried to sell and then that didn't go through, and they're just shutting down. Like OpenSea, we're getting an NFT resurgence, and everyone. It's also not lost on me that Magic Eden, it just as soon as they decide to shutter NFTs and kill their marketplace, that NFTs go on a run. But yeah, OpenSea winning by default, essentially. It kind of looks like X might be back. I see more. I've never, in 1,143 shows, I've never quite seen anything like this, where it appeared we rugged for everyone except the speakers. Now I see people trickling back in. I'm curious, those of you in the audience, did you actually leave, or did it rug you and you came back? Or did you X is just fake rugging and you were there the whole time? And because some people are saying that they can't hear anything.
Fake rugging.
Some people definitely got run though.
The North Korean warning right there.
They never left. We just didn't see them anymore.
Yeah, I was trying to come in on the reality check account, and it showed 33 in the space when I finally got it to load, and then now it shows 57, but the number keeps going up every time I refresh.
Yeah, maybe.
I have a question.
Go for it.
So, we're talking about, you were just mentioning OpenSea, right? And we've seen now the benefits of when they remove their fee structure and their farming structure. What do they do now? Like, how do they reintroduce that without the whole space turning on them? What is their next move?
You're saying OpenSea, what do they do now that because they're not doing the voyages and the farming?
Right, exactly. And essentially fees are removed right now.
I mean, I think okay, this is actually a good segue, kind of a good segue. I'm trying to figure out how I can fit in because I alluded to Zeet and Abstract, but let's stick on this one. We'll come back to that. Jesus, I guess if you have a heart out, let me know. But Hizzy says, Board Ape Yacht Club, OTC, if they take 2.5%, just take OS fees a little more. Figgy came out yesterday and said, after he's announced his after he stepped into his new role, there was a lot of people that reached out and were trying to help him trying to get help brokering deals or finding grails, OTC deals. And he came out and said, we're in the process due to demand. We're going to spin up an OTC desk. Typically, to Payne's point, OTC desk is typically no fees. I
have thoughts.
Take your thoughts. I'm going to go refill my coffee, and I'm going to crank it up so I can hear every take you have. I have thoughts. I'm checking my words because I've heard some things, and I want to be respectful to where I've heard. I have speculation, personal speculation, but I've also heard some things, some rumors, and I don't want to leak rumors that are rumors, but yet could have some substance to them. I'm not making any sense probably to 99% of you, but those that know, you know. And so Outer, what are your thoughts on, I guess, OTC desks, potentially NFT marketplaces? Does this, I guess, thoughts on OTC desk. And then the follow-up question would be, do you see this evolving beyond just an OTC desk?
Look, I don't have any rumors, so this is me just reacting to what I saw on the timeline. I, for a long time, thought that the idea of trying to buy something that you want as a collector was absolutely horrible, because it really was just about a WETH offer, or if somebody by chance had like put their X in their OpenSea profile, maybe you could DM them. Like, it was very difficult to go after like a token that you liked. And I don't know if you guys remember, but along what seems like time ago, Coinbase had Coinbase NFTs. Do you remember that? There was like a blip in that where they made a marketplace, and they had an ability to leave comments like on the JPEGs, so that, and I was so excited about this because I'm like, oh, finally, maybe you could just like say, hey, I really want this. Let's talk about it or whatever. But like, there just hasn't been any like actual like UX to have social buying, right? There's no like Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or whatever there is to be like, hey, I have this thing I want to sell. Does anybody want it? It's a grail. Like, there's just no like never mind like the OTC idea or grail specifically, but just in general, there's no like social buying. There's no like eBay for NFTs or any way for you to make offers or buy now or any of that. Like, it's not the same as just putting in a WETH offer with all the bots, and it's very impersonal. So I think it's great. As far as like fees on it, I don't know. It just seems like, revenue is revenue. If you can get, revenue to your company, makes sense. So, okay. But I really like personally just deeply interested in a new way of purchasing NFTs in the space, especially for collectors, because I think there has to be way more conversations around that and procurement. And so like, as a holder of things that I haven't listed in a long time, I would totally be up for somebody being like, hey, I see that you have this JPEG in your wallet. Would you be interested in trading or selling or whatever? The only caveat, of course, to all of this, and this is why like, the OTC thing kind of makes sense is like this idea of brokering and not being scammed, right? Because when it's pure strangers, we all know how the space works. But the social aspect of being able to like actually put in a meaningful offer on something, or to even let the holder know that you're interested in something that they have, I think is absolutely needed. And I really thought that at the time, that like commenting section would take off in Coinbase, which of course we all know what the fate of that was. But if you remember, that was very like close to something where you could at least like reach out to holders. So I'm covering more, I know, like the UX and product side of something that I would want to see as an expansion in a marketplace. But I think Figgy nailed the sentiment of what ultimately collectors want, which is a way to express that they have interest in JPEGs that have been sitting around for a long time.
I'm going to start a rumor. My rumor is that they're going to give money to Franklin, his board, and maybe some Bored Apes. And the reason that I'm not like starting that rumor, it's a joke, but the reason that I say this is because Figgy tweeted the other day, oh, we need to bring back Franklin, his board or something. And he said it in a different context, but now that you're talking about trading desks and all this other stuff, he literally was the OTC, or not OTC, he was the equivalent of Punk's OTC to CryptoPunks. He was like the market maker of the board
of BAYC, bro. Yeah, Figgy asked for one of the Franklin slideshows.
Kind of. I think
Yeah.
Franklin was
5 minutes.
I think Franklin was
my God.
very, very different than like Punk's OTC though, because Franklin was actually, while he did flip apes, he wasn't necessarily an OTC desk himself like Punk's OTC is. He was just buying these. Like he was building his stack. Sometimes he would flip, but often he was just collecting.
Wasn't he huge from like I thought Blur was like the big era of Franklin. Like when I think of Franklin, I think of Blur farming.
Really? I don't.
Or maybe not. Like what? Like I remember he's like, I now have 67 apes. I now have like I just remember seeing all of the like the updates of all the apes cycling through, and like the pictures that he would post, like a collage of all the apes.
I mean, I think of that as well. I think that was pre-Blur Farm. You know, I could be mistaken.
Was it?
But I think it was
It's getting
pre-Blur
hazy
Farm.
over here. It's been what, like 5 years now?
Either way, if they're looking for a salesperson, I feel like he actually would be a solid person for that team.
I don't know if they're looking for a salesperson per se, but someone who understands the trades and understands the collection.
Someone who understands the trades and could be a broker in a sense. It doesn't take much to be a broker besides not stealing from someone else and like knowing the details of the collection. He's probably traded at least 10% of the collection himself. So I don't know. He definitely knows.
We'll get to the other hands here. Dort adds, he's asking, is this like the service EB7 and his partner offered some of the Asian whales? They had a finder's fee. You could just doing that on their own now, connecting high net worth individuals with girls. Yeah, EB7 and I don't know, I'm drawing a blank on what his partner's name was. They were the Yuga OTC desk, not just Yuga. They did a lot of like Grail Azukis. I think it was really mostly Yuga and Grail Azukis, but for the amount of apes that Franklin might have held and sold, EB7 and his partner probably moved more volume because, I mean, I'm not even joking. I remember vividly, we were at Ape Fest Hong Kong and they had people turning down 700 and 800 ETH offers on gold apes. This wasn't that long ago. Hong Kong was 2024, fall of 2024, winter of 2024. And yeah, they moved and they didn't like, it maybe wasn't, they weren't like as public. They did have like, they were a known OTC desk, but it maybe wasn't as known as Punk's OTC, maybe because it was across multiple collections, but they moved a lot of apes at extreme valuations. 2023. Okay, my brain is warped.
Maybe they're also going after Eli Scheinman, who's been doing the OTC for the art side of the space, who actually used to work for Yuga after they acquired Proof, which another fake rumor, but I just think is funny.
A lot of Yuga rumors. We are so back. We have Yuga rumors, and there is the entire morning. People in the war room have been asking. They've been talking about not even the current intro song, but the OG intro song where we had a female voice that did the disclaimers, and then a man came at the very end of it and said, "Welcome to the future." The man was B-Love, and the woman will remain nameless, but there's been speculation. It's basically like there's two great anonymous theories, conspiracy theories in crypto. One is who is Satoshi, the other is who is the female voice that used to do the intros on For Coffee with Captain. It's really got people twisted into a pretzel this morning. No, it was not an ex of mine.
Hint, it's AI.
Not AI either. Human female voice. I can confirm. Let's do this. Let's get through these hands. I completely lost the order. Let's go Simple Farmer, Bouvet, and then Edward. Simple Farmer, GM.
I didn't even see hands, so that's on you.
I don't know. Like X is like broken but not broken. We're back up to like 100 again in the chat, so I think we're okay. I genuinely am curious. Did people get booted and you came back? Like I've never 1143 shows, never seen anything like what happened to X this morning. But we persevere nevertheless. Simple Farmer, go ahead.
Yeah, I just really like what Outer Lumen said in that she would love a more social aspect within our NFT marketplaces. I think, it's super difficult for anybody to usurp X in terms of, the social features we have and how we connect as NFT communities. Obviously, there's such a huge corporation. There's so many people here already. I think if anybody has a shot to do so, though, it would be OpenSea, just considering that that's where we all go to trade now. So that would be on the top of my wish list. And what I would love is if we kind of had profiles that we could make, like social profiles, but kind of more in the style of MySpace, because MySpace was like my first exposure to like super basic coding. If you remember how you could set up your own page and make it look a certain way, and then we could connect with each other through that platform. That would just be top of my wish list.
I kind of agree, and I know, and I fully understand why OpenSea is pursuing other trading tokens, perps, etc. They need the volume. I also hope with mobile launching and like this next phase, I hope they do lean into a little bit of the social element. I agree. They're not replacing X. Like you end up like Farcaster or others. But I think something as specific as an NFT marketplace, I think it could support not only the social element, and I know they have your gallery and you can showcase stuff now, but I don't know what it would look like. I'm not the UI expert. Maybe Outer has thoughts on what they could do to better show off NFTs and create more of a social environment. But I think there's something there. I think there's definitely an opportunity there. And maybe now that the competitive landscape is not as heated as it once was, maybe they can experiment and take some shots on some more of these social features per the request. Let's go Bouvet and then Edward. Bouvet, go ahead.
Okay, I have lots of thoughts on this marketplace because I've been advocating for like the Yuga built marketplace for like a couple of years. Even if you check like my most recent tweet, I even tweeted today about it. So
I think we get it. That's what I'm not going to say, but I'm not. That's what I'm saying, but I'm not saying. I think that the OTC desk is foreshadowing that a Yuga marketplace is loading. That's just I don't know anything. I'm just speculating. I think an OTC desk is the first step towards that.
Like a couple years back, right? The whole volume and the fees, 70-80% were Yuga assets, right? And then but then what happened was Yuga partnered with Magic Eden, but Magic Eden shut down. But now, before it shut down, it is the biggest ape chain volume marketplace as well. But if you look at these marketplaces, right? Okay, Blur with the loans, OS, they had deals, but they took it away. So now you can't trade NFTs anymore. And then Rarible, you used to be able to approach them to have a private marketplace for your collection, and they would take like 1% fee. But then, so this was like the current update. But then the apes that we know, like Frosties has the OS wiki, and then Elo already built a token deal.
2 weeks ago.
What?
Rarible got acquired 2 weeks ago.
Okay. So you know the apes, right? We know the Elo, he has the token deal, and he recently did the cross-chain integration. So for example, you can trade now ape chain NFTs for a Bored Ape, for example, right? And then Frosty's already created the OS wiki. So what I was saying on the timeline was like, okay, let's get these ape builders and let's like utilize their developing power and then make something happen. And then that way, what's going to happen is CryptoPunks did this specifically like way back, right? But they were like, their token was like a modified ERC20, so they couldn't like wrap, and like that's why like it couldn't sell on OpenSea. But the main thing is they had their own marketplace, so they can set the vision, they can set the like the direction they're going, and then now you have like a private marketplace. And if Yuga makes this happen, then these fees are going to be generated and then going back to them. And it's somewhat, I think, I'm like, I don't have any NDA or like some like alpha on this, but I know like logically I understand it because it's already here with like token deals. So you can like say, okay, this guy wants this guy wants this, and then you trade it, and then there's like a little fee that goes to Yuga. But you talked about the social aspect as well. So if you look at the new Bored Ape website, you can see the people who connected their X and then which Bored Ape they have. So it's just a matter of like connecting the dots here where, okay, this is a legit guy, this is a legit guy, and then now we're gonna do a deal and then Yuga gets fees from it. I think that's the right way to go. I've been advocating for a couple of years on this.
The other thing I've been advocating for a couple of years is royalties should be protected at the contract level. And while the one thing I said I don't want to see have to migrate would be my ape, my PFP, everything else I don't care. I'd get it. Like you're talking, Ernest can give us the number tomorrow, the exact amount of royalties that Yuga has foregone by royalties getting waived, but I'm pretty certain it's north of $100 million, which is it's crazy. And I don't know another industry that's just going to not, you have a revenue source, that something happens, you lose said revenue source, and then there's ways to get that back. Like it seems like an inevitable to me, but I don't know anything. Edward, go ahead.
Hey, GM, how are you? Good talking to you, Cap.
Likewise.
I've come a long way in the ape world since I had you and I first chatted in DM on, hey, should I buy an ape?
Big congrats. You made the move just in time.
I you know what, I really did. And, I've already been to two meetups and jumped in the other side, and I'm having fun. I made a lot of new friends. I'm holding a Web3 event. It's in my pin post in the New York, New Jersey area. So I'm excited to just keep making more and more connections. But no, in regards to what we're saying about the trading desk, I mean, after reading Figgy's announcement, I feel like everybody forgot that OpenSea had this feature. Like the trade feature was live and available on OpenSea that really worked well because you could add, how many times do we DM someone or work with somebody on a deal and they're like, well, I've got this and this to trade, but you don't know them well enough. You don't want to do the trade, but they're like, well, I only have half the ETH. Like OpenSea had that feature and ripped it down for some reason, and it was great because you could put up half in assets, half in ETH, and people could look at it whenever they wanted to.
Yeah, they had private, like you're able to create a private listing for someone, and you could even bundle deals. Yeah, but they moved away from like the collector thing, and that's fine. But I definitely think like if we're really back. And there's WAGMI vibes for JPEGs, then a lot of this stuff is going to be, I think, necessary. One thing that I'm thinking about as we talk about apes specifically, I remember Divide, my partner, and I talking about this, and he was just like, I don't understand why they just don't hard code royalties into the JPEG itself, and if they're not fully paid, you don't get the utility. Like if you buy somebody's ape and the utility is not there because they haven't paid all of the royalties or they're still owed on it. So no, you can't register for this event. No, you can't buy this special merch, and no, you can't do whatever else until you actually fully pay that up. I mean, it's a hot take, but it's kind of interesting to think about this, like this other intrinsic value for a brand that ties the token ownership to some kind of utility, right?
And perfect timing as they get ready to launch a clubhouse that's going to have a member exclusive area, VIP area, if you will. While if someone's held since, for years, fine. Like there's no royalties to be made there. They're not selling the thing. They either were initial sale or maybe they capture royalties at one point. Someone new goes and buys an ape because they want access to the utility of said club or the next event, the next activation. Those royalties help pay for said activations for said club. And I don't know. I think it makes all the sense in the world. There's a reason we partnered with Unvault, because I've been beating this drum forever, and they finally introduced an easy way for a non-technical team to do this, to migrate to royalty protected contracts and go multi-chain. And it's maybe that sets up back to the, speaking of multi-chain, it's funny how I look back to like when Frank went, I can't remember the order of operations, but switched chains a few times with Utes and then DGods and got a pretty hard time for it. Now it's kind of commonplace, or maybe not commonplace, but like no big deal, or applauded, or like, oh, this just makes sense. Whether it was Fugs that left Abstract, you're talking Zeet, Myriad, and now Zeet leaving Abstract. So as we spend a lot of the morning talking about an L2 and Arbitrum that was able to had an advantage over some fully decentralized L1s in the sense that it could save these user funds from being exploited. On the flip side, L2s that are not gaining new users, volume, liquidity, transactions, or maybe leaning too much into transactions, seems to be losing some of their consumer-esque apps. Cheese's thoughts on the Zeet. I know you're a fan of both Abstract and Zeet. Thoughts on Zeet taking their ball and going elsewhere? And I don't know. I don't think it's been announced where they're going yet. Is that right?
No, it hasn't been announced yet. I was trying to get Scotty to come in my space yesterday. He came in, but he wouldn't come on stage because we're usually pretty good about getting him to spill the beans. But I wasn't expecting this. They said, if you remember about 3 weeks ago, they said things are being delayed because of a new announcement that's going to be coming. It'll all make sense when that happens. Unfortunately, like I like Abstract. I love it. The community's very active. Been there since testnet. And with seeing Myriad leave, Fugs leave, now Zeet leave. I seen a post earlier today, and I want to give some context. Like Myriad left to go to BNB because they needed liquidity. To have a prediction market, you need liquidity. You got to have deep LPs. Otherwise, if I go bet $1,000 and then I try and pull it out, the hit on there's no liquidity. I'm going to lose money, even if it shows I'm up. But then this tweet I seen this morning, this guy had all this data showing that while they did have a spike on their volume on Myriad, they're actually down. And most of Myriad's historical volume is still on Abstract because there's still open markets through the end of April on Myriad. So, is that move always the best? Fugs, their floor price is up. Is it going to stay up? Is it just, we moved to the big chain, let's, all be happy? Who knows? We'll see what happens in the next few months. Zeet, the way, and they haven't fully talked about what the mechanics of Zeet are going to be, but they kind of gave us some insight into that. Cap, and you might be able to see this if you go to Zeet right now. If you go to your profile, you're going to see a section that shows offers there. It's right underneath your PFP, and it's a Myriad Markets demo. If you accept into that, it kind of gives you the breakdown of what you have to do as a creator. You got to have 20,000 followers. There's a potential for a USDC sign-in bonus, a prize pool. It shows you got to have one tweet, one thread, all the requirements, all the things. The problem is like every ecosystem is so like closed. It's like, Bored Apes are Bored Apes and Pudgies are Pudgies. Like everybody's like trying to get everybody to come together, and like Abstract seems like it's kind of like just the Abstract people. And I think that Zeet needs more people. It's not a matter of the chain. I think they need liquidity to trade the cards. And then they need more attention and they need more people. So, a lot of the speculation is base. Whale speculated that Mega East would be a good move because they have their, they put out these certain KPIs that they're not going to TG until they hit. They have the Mafia apps. They have 9 out of 10 already in place. And they have the 10th that's going to be announced either this week or next week. And, Whale is speculating that the 10th being Z. And then
Could be.
It's also a matter of who threw them money. Like, did they need money? No. They didn't need money because they raised enough in all the early competitions and they played the InfoFi game. And so they had money. Everybody always needs more money. But is Mega ETH giving grants? Is BAYC giving grants? Is AVAX giving grants? That would be a horrible move, I think, if they went to AVAX. Some people are saying Solana. Some people are saying Monad. Like, I think AVAX, Solana, and Monad would not be a good fit. I think it's either BAYC or Mega ETH. And
why not Solana? I think I would say my first guess would be BAYC or Mega ETH as well, but why I would throw Solana into the mix?
Because Solana, like, I'm blown away that Klanos are still on Sol.
Yeah.
Like, I think Klanos would thrive if they were on Ethereum, or even BAYC, because everybody on Sol wants to just trade meme coins, and they're a bunch of fucking Jeets. Sorry to put it bluntly, but that's what they are. Like, that's why the ETH asteroid coin is running, is because nobody on ETH Jeets like they do on Sol. The asteroid on Sol, on Sol ended up getting like 4 mil last night because of a vamp. And then it got cheated all the way back down to like 1 mil. And then the one on ETH ended up rallying all the way up. So, like, I think Zeet is looking for distribution because that's what their model is. It's like getting creators like me and you, and say if Bored Ape did a campaign around whatever with Zeet, like, you're going to participate in that. Your audience is going to follow you into that. You're well received within the Bored Ape community. Like, they need people that are going to turn conversion, not impressions. You might have a guy that's out here botting his account or getting millions of impressions, but you might have a smaller creator that has a deeper rooted network in a NFT community or whatever, and everybody shows up and supports these people. So, it's going to be a pretty big shift, I think. Does it hurt Abstract? It's not good. Not good seeing all these projects leave saying that alignment. Fug said alignment. Zeet is essentially saying alignment without saying it. Certain things aren't aligning. Now, Bearish is still on Zeet. Bearish reiterated yesterday that they're still on Abstract. They reiterated yesterday they're not leaving Abstract. Like, Abstract is their home. And I think that IP and the things that are within the Bearish ecosystem work there. And for those of you that don't know, Bearish, which is Tolly and Scotty, they're the devs there. They are also part of the founding team for Zeet with Pons. So, it's going to be interesting to see where they go. I'm thinking BAYC or Mega ETH, though. But Abstract definitely needs to figure out what their priorities are. Is it getting transactions and bringing liquidity on chain for pumping numbers for a TGE? Or is it actually onboarding consumers and building fun games? Like On-Chain Heroes, probably the funnest game. I played it a little bit. Then Scarly got in my DMs. And for those of you who don't know, Scarly was part of the original Wolf Game team. But On-Chain Heroes, bro, this team, Scarly and them are fucking killing it. And the games are fun. Yeah, it costs money to play. Everything costs money if you want to have, you want to enjoy it. And but you get, you're getting rewards back. It's just really, really interactive. And those are the things that are going to do well on Abstract. And I just don't think Zeet was the proper home for Abstract was the proper home for Zeet.
Yeah, it seems as if, at least my impression from the top, is that Abstract is leaning into transactions and things that they think the space will value at TGE, both VCs and other potential bidders, buyers of the Abstract token. I just don't know. Everyone sees it. Everyone knows, like, the game they're playing, and I don't know if it hits like it might have hit in 2022. Like it seems like a very different time. Everyone knows the game they're playing, and I don't know. It's great that On-Chain Heroes is doing well. And apparently Luca is alluding to, I wasn't in the inside the huddle or inner huddle this past week, but apparently he said that it's the calm before the storm. They've got some big Project
Quantum. Yeah, we're fucking all on Quantum today, bro. We got it. Luca's gonna fucking quantum everybody on chain. He's been talking about this for months, and apparently it's like really, really big.
I have no idea what it might be, but I think they need something. I'm glad they haven't TG'd yet, and I think they need something before they get there. Simple Farmer, go ahead and get in here, and then we'll keep things moving.
Yeah, this is not specifically related, but kind of parallel to this. I do think in our space as a whole, once we get aligned more with building systems that incentivize like merit-based success for builders, so we get to the point where builders are the most successful and monetarily rewarded individuals, will progress further than just the social advertising portion of it with respect to KOLs, of course. And I mean, that's something that I'm looking at specifically with my community. We talked about earlier, Cap, in a space a couple of months ago, that what we need is something that's more like a pump fund combined with like a vibe coding hub where people can put out platforms, pair those to tokens, and then we have protocols being pushed rather than hyper speculative meme coins. And so I think as a space, if we can evolve in that direction, it would improve our whole ecosystem.
Outer, not to put you on the spot, but I said I'm not the UI expert. I don't even know what OpenSea or any other marketplace could or should do to show off more, to gamify, to bring in some social components. Do you have any thoughts? Any suggestions, recommendations? We might know a guy we could pass along the feedback to.
I mean, I'm currently working on a marketplace for Cats and Wizards, so that'll be coming out. That'll be fun. Otherwise, yeah, I don't know. I'm almost like last time I was here. I think I solved the Quirkies marketplace problem with with adding a bunch of features to it. I don't know. Look, you know where to find me if you really need help. You can holler at me. Do I know how to fix a bunch of these problems? Yeah, I do, but I don't know. I'm reluctant to just like solve all the things on all the spaces. But I am going to host a vibe coding session in the Coffee with Captain Discord this Friday. I think that's probably worth a mention.
Noon Eastern, right?
Yeah, Eastern time at noon. I don't know what it takes now for people to get into your Discord, Cap. I don't remember what the tokenomics or whatever of that was. That's a Cap question. But yeah, I thought that just realizing that I think a lot of people talk about vibe coding, but there's a barrier between talking about it and actually putting out like a real life product, be it a website or whatever else. So I thought it might be fun to just like hang out in Discord for an hour and show people how to go from like nothing to like a finished website that's actually live. And I think that will unpack a bunch of other maybe mysteries around how to vibe code. So I'm doing that. As far as like, product UI, UX and those kind of problems, I don't know. Like there's a lot to solve. I have a lot of opinions. I think OpenSea can definitely do a lot. But at the end of the day, it still comes down to like, is this going to be revenue generating? Does it make sense to put, if that's something that's important, or does it make sense to put like a couple of people on this, and how many users does it actually ultimately impact is the real thing, right? And given market conditions, which come and go and ebb and flow, you might be building something incredibly amazing and then market's down and it's just no longer relevant to release it at all. So it's more complex than just coming up with like fun products or features, because it's a way bigger piece of the puzzle to release a product than just like the fact that it's fun or easy to use. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So yeah, I think like maybe it would be fun to ideate what a good marketplace will be, but you can't do that without considering who is it ultimately for.
Yep.
And I think there is a niche between people that just want to flip JPEGs and people that want to collect things. Because the people who want to flip JPEGs do not care that, your ape has a trippy hat or whatever fun thing that you're after that maybe you're scouring for and you would love a chat. but that's not relevant at all to somebody who just really wants a good experience in something that's secure and fast that they can trade on. So yeah, it's very difficult to, I think, build for everybody, but it is possible. But yeah, if Yuga ultimately does a marketplace, great. I feel like it's not a new concept for, to have your own marketplace. And if you remember Tyler Hobbs with QQL, I think that they literally did that because of the whole royalties fiasco back with OpenSea and Magic Eden and all of that, right? Like there was a whole like art community that got really, rightfully upset about royalties, because that is a big deal in that situation. But does it apply to 10,000 JPEGs? Not as much, right? Like there's a different perception in a company collecting royalties versus an individual artist who created work collecting royalties. And that like never really got solved. I'm on a tangent now, I'll stop.
No, well, first of all, I'm looking forward to the vibe coding session on Friday. Appreciate you doing that. And for those that, to answer your question, for those that want to get in, yes, the War Room is token gated, as are a few other channels. I believe I should confirm with Payne. I'm stalling to see if he can answer in real time. I believe the vibe coding session is going to be open to all who have an invite. So I think it's if you want to join the vibe coding session, just let us know. I'll bring the Coffee with Captain account up at the show at the end of the show, and you can just shoot us a DM, let us know you'd like an invite. It's in the audience if you want to get ahead of that. But yeah, I think it is invite only. But I think minus the War Room and a few other channels. But I believe the vibe coding session will be open to any that are in the Discord. All that said, we'll work to get some confirmation here in a minute. But let's knock out a quick daily market update. We'll talk about the tokens, which are back up a little bit. We'll highlight these NFTs, which have been on an absolute ripper, and then that'll probably Discord is invite only, and the vibe coding session will be open as long as Outer's cool with it. So Outer, it's your call if we keep it token gated or open it up to those who have received an invite. Completely up to you. The keys are yours. You are the guest host. So
okay.
Your call.
How about this? If you're interested in joining us on Friday, just DM me, and then we'll sort that out.
Perfect.
So if you're listening and you want in on this on Friday at noon Eastern time, DM me. My DMs are open. I'll find them, and then we can go from there.
Awesome. Good stuff. That said, I know we're past April 15th. I also know some of you, at least one of you out there, has filed an extension because you need help with your crypto taxes. So head to awaken.tax, use code coffee50 or return coffee50 to save $50 off your tax prep software. It's not just for tax prep for April 15th that you've missed, but it's an annual subscription. So it'll help you stay on top of your crypto transactions throughout the year so you're not scrambling come tax day 2026. This is the Daily Market Update brought to you by Awaken Tax.
It's market update time. Let's set the play. Powered by Awaken, the smart tax way. From crypto flips to DeFi stacks. They keep it clean. Got your back. Grab your coffee. Let's break it down. Daily update. Right down.
I'm losing it over a bunch of comment in the War Room, but you gotta have the token to see that what that comment was about. Let's start with the top 10 tokens. We've got Bitcoin up 1.2% on the day. I think Trump had some announcement today at 8:30, although I haven't seen what that was, or maybe he hasn't started talking yet. I don't know. If anyone is in the loop on this morning's announcement, let me know. But Bitcoin up 1.21%, 70. I saw some oil shorts opened up prior to that. The insiders are back at it. So I don't know what it means, but I did see that on the timeline. Bitcoin up 1% to 76,042. ETH down slightly, basically flat at 2307. XRP up almost 1% to 143. BNB up 1% to 631. Solana flat at 85. Tron flat at 32. Doge flat. Hyperliquid down 1%. I did open up my Hyperliquid long because it is trailing down 10% on the week now, ready for the bounce. Not financial advice, so please do your own research and don't join for that. Just join for some fun, some information, and maybe a little bit of education along the way. Speaking of education, looking over at NFTs, punks are up 5% on the day to 2807. There's also a couple of big bids on both punks and some Grail apes. I saw there's a almost like an $80,000 bid on a Trippy ape that's slightly below, like a couple ETH below the listing price. Apes are down 1% to 7.6, although still up, massively since last Friday's pump, or last week's pump. Mutants up 5% to 1.26. Pudgies flat at 4.36. Hypers flat at 386 hype. Denzas down 2% to 17 ETH. Little Pudgies down 4% to 0.45. Zuki's flat at 0.3. Quirkies down 1% to 1.07. Normies up 12% on the day to 0.14. Have really flipped. I don't know, I'm drawing a blank. The other one that was ran pretty hard. Del Mundo's down to 0.06. I'm not seeing it now. It fell off the trending volume chart. But Normies almost 3x Del Mundo's now. They were both trading in lockstep. Actually, Del Mundo's up ahead of them for a little bit. Moonbirds down 1% to 0.87. Doodles up 2% to 0.48. MFers up almost 20% to 0.22. Nakamigos dipping a little bit, down 6% to 0.11. See if there's anything else interesting here. Good Vibes Club down 2%. Coda's down 3%. And Chromie Sickles up 7%. They heard Steve was in the market, so the floor ran a little bit. Fugs, as we were just talking about, migrated from abstract to ETH mainnet, up 13% to 0.07. Gimbo's still running strong at 21.58. And that is our daily market update, brought to you by Awaken Tax. Again, awaken.tax. Use code coffee50 or return coffee50 to save $50 off your tax prep software. Outer,
yes.
Thinking about whether we head the direction of, so we talked about the OTC desk. We talked about the Figgy announcement. Did you have any more thoughts on the OTC desk, on Figgy as CEO? I had a chance to play paintball this past Saturday with a bunch of apes, and there's been, I don't know, dozens of inner life meetups this month, kind of, I think, setting up some momentum for the clubhouse opening. Any thoughts on all that, or anything you missed you'd like to fill in some gaps?
Yeah, hold on. There is a thing. I feel like it's important for me to share this. Let me find it. I'll put it up in the chat for, I guess, the ladies listening, because I think it's ladies only, as far as I know. Ladies in the club. There's like a whole meetup on Thursday. It's a virtual meetup. And I think there's like some sponsored drinks or something. I don't know. I haven't fully like dove into the details of this, but my friend Tiger is like launching a whole ladies apes thing. So I shared that up there for any ape ladies that are listening. I think it's going to expand to some more stuff eventually, but speaking of Yuga things, this one came to mind. And then I feel like the whole Figgy thing, I don't know, man, like it's going to be fine. Everything's fine. Like, if not him, then who else? I also feel like, did you see that there's a new Apple CEO?
I did. Yep.
You know, like,
you did it first, but yeah, Apple saw Figgy's now stepping in. The former CEO moving to a chairman role. Tim Cook said, "Hey, if Yuga can do it, so can I." And
right? So that was going to be the joke, like. Yuga CEO switch walked so Apple can run, right?
I on the Apple front, I mean, I think it's a great move for Yuga. I also think it's a good move for Apple. The incoming CEO, I'm not the most familiar with. Super smart guy, built some like prosthetics when he was, in college. Just wicked smart person. Knowing that, my first gut instinct is, I could see Apple moving back into a product innovator.
Oh gosh, wouldn't that be just nice? I feel like Steve Jobs has been rolling in his grave for years. Like,
and it's hard to say that.
Do you remember when they came up with the iPad, where the pencil charge sticking out of the iPad at the bottom? Like, I just can't, So I really agree with you, and I'm really hopeful. I'm sorry to like talk over you, but
no,
I'm just
perfect.
An Apple Maxi, and I'm so excited for there to be some like good product innovation.
Same. And the incoming CEO has had his hand in many of the Apple products through the years. I mean, he's been to Apple. He's at he's climbed from, all the way up. Started, 20-some years ago, and has held several different roles. Had his hand in many products. It's hard to knock Tim Cook. I mean, the company went from, I don't know, a few $100 billion to a $4 trillion company. So by all accounts, he's had a tremendously successful reign as CEO of Apple. That said, some of the naysayers are like, well, we haven't seen even one of my buddies in a group chat said that Apple hasn't innovated in a decade. And there's some merit in that. Although I would say that probably their most technological advanced device was pretty cool, just didn't have consumer success, that be it the Vision Pros. Form factor just too big, too clunky, just didn't hit with consumers, but technologically incredible. I think where giving Tim his credit is he's not a design guy. He's not an innovator. He is a world-class, maybe the best in the world at supply chain and distribution. Like the reason they went from a few $100 billion to $4 trillion is Tim Cook's a world-class operator and understands supply chain as good as anyone, if not better than anyone on the planet. And that was the right person for Apple to go through this phase. Now, as we're entering kind of a new era ushered in by AI, I do think it's important to get back in innovation mode. Now, I did a full 180 on Apple's how they've been attacking AI. First, I was very bearish because I felt lapped by a lot of these startups. And I flipped from bearish to bullish in the fact that Apple just decided to play a different game. And they're going to let all these startups go and spend trillions of dollars chasing the AI infrastructure game and what works, what has proper product market fit, what scales to the masses, and then just sign a deal for $1 billion with Google, and Google's going to power all their AI stuff. $1 billion, be it far less capital spend than $1 trillion. I think it's kind of somewhere in between, and I don't know. It's pure speculation. I don't know enough about the incoming CEO to know for sure, but I could see a kind of an Apple renaissance in the sense I could see them taking some shots on new products, new AI powered products, whether form factor, I don't know. I still don't know what replaces the smartphone. I don't know. Although I'm pretty confident something will, maybe not replace the smartphone, but I think something will supplement the smartphone as the primary device on the go. I could see we still maybe carry our phones with us, but we're not looking at the screen. Rather, I don't know. I still think some sort of
the Apple Watch that just does that or not? I can't wear one. I can't stand them. I have an Oura Ring instead for some of the personal tracking stuff. But I do know folks that absolutely love their Apple Watch and kind of have adopted that more as a lifestyle than doom scrolling. But I
don't think it's going to be the watch. I think wearables will still have their place, but I think it's going to be something more, whether it's glasses or earpods or contacts. I don't know.
Are we all after her essentially? You know that movie?
Yeah.
It just seems like all you want to do is just be able to just talk to your AI.
Yep.
And that's that,
I could see it's going to be some sort of combination of just talking to your AI, not having to look at the screen that often, just giving it commands and trusting it does what you want it to do. Hail an Uber, book me an Uber to go here, and it just does it. And the Uber's there in 5 minutes. And it just tells you the Uber's arriving in 1 minute. Be ready. I think something between I think that is yes. I think that's kind of table stakes. I also think the idea of a display still matters. And maybe the technology is not there. We're too far away from it. I think some sort of heads up display that shows what you see on your phone. It's like the Apple Vision Pro thesis without the big giant headset. No one's wearing that and walking down the street. I mean, I guess some people might. I picture Jakey, no offense, Jakey, but I could see Jakey just walking down. He probably did this as a bit. It's got to be something closer to the Meta glasses that's maybe not glasses. I don't know. I don't know how far we are away from throwing out some sort of holographic heads up display that you can just see without having glasses on your head, because not everyone's going to want to wear glasses. But I think I don't know. I envision a future we get to that point somewhere or another before we get to a full-on brain implant where what's on your screen is just thrown. It's broadcast in front of you without you having to hold a device in your hand. Is that crazy, Outer?
Well, I mean, if only everybody could just wear contact lenses and not be afraid. I feel like that would be that would be interesting. Like, I recently researched, they have these blackout contact lenses, which I think are really cool. I get migraines sometimes, and I'm like, the darkest I could possibly make things for myself is if I black out like my actual eyes, like full on at like the cornea lens level. And so I went down this rabbit hole, and I'm like, that is so interesting. That is the ultimate blackout. So I'm in the process of acquiring a pair of these, like non-prescription. But if you're like afraid of wearing contact lenses, then like that's not your vibe. But I would totally, as a contact lens wearer, would just like, put that on in the morning and throw it out at the end of the day. I know that sounds wasteful, but unfortunately that is like the safest way to keep your eyes safe from pathogens. You can try cleaning them all you want, but I find that, like, I don't know, for me, I prefer the dailies, but I would love to have something at the eye level. But that's just been, like something that's recently been on my mind since I deep dove these blackout contacts, which I'm really excited to try. So why not, like, one contact lens is fine in like one of my eyes, and then it's like some kind of a display. And I'd also be up for a brain implant. Like I'm super into this whole idea of like bionics.
Same.
So yeah, like why not? It's exciting. Like I was talking to a friend of mine recently about this. Like as a person with breast cancer, I removed I removed my entire chest, and I'm quite fine doing that. But I was talking about, like, why couldn't I have like some kind of really cool, like, platinum or titanium like chest plate that was like implanted, and then maybe you could have like storage compartments in it. I don't know, like, I know I'm a weirdo, but it was just like thinking about like the like utilizing the fact that, like, there's so many cool bionic things that could happen. I do think that there already are, of course, because, like there's so much that happens in the accessibility side, right? With all kinds of things, from like cochlear implants that have been around for a long time to like just game changing, like full body walking experiences for folks that don't have full use of their spine. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like if something cool was going to happen, it'll actually come from that sector. That, or of course the porn industry, which is also really amazing at finding out the coolest tech.
Maybe both. I'm also on outer side, and we might be in the minority here. I'm like, brain implant is a little further out there. But if you told me here's a pill that inside of it is a nanobot, and you take this pill and you have a robot running around inside you fixing all of your ailments, I'm in. Like I'm all.
You know that the new, like, there is a pill that's a camera pill that you can now swallow. Instead of like, well, it depends on what you have. You all can go do your own research, but you can do this, and it's kind of like a colonoscopy, endoscopy thing, because you swallow a capsule with a camera, and it goes and captures the entirety of your digestive tract as you, like, as it goes through.
Sounds way better than the alternative.
Totally. It's actually in use. Like, that thing exists. You still have to do a bit of prep, but like, it's a thing. It's real now. They are using that.
Today on Coffee, talking, it's now colonoscopy.
I don't know how we got here, but I knew we would always get into some kind of weird talking shenanigan. Like
last week it was
like
music.
Justin Bieber last time.
Yeah, last week it was music. This week it's colonoscopies.
Colonoscopy capsules, like whatever. We're here for it.
Even better yet, colonoscopy capsules with Captain is the new title today. I'm all for the new technology, and I think from Bieber to butts. That's well played, be epic. Thinking of ways to get us back on track. Just as I mentioned, colonoscopies and Bieber to butts, Quirky Quirk jumps up. I kid. Hold that thought. We will get Ilan in here, who's been super patient. Probably did not come up to talk about colonoscopies, but
I can't wait. That is such a troll. And what would you like to talk about, Ilan? Like right in the middle of that segment. Oh my God.
Maria does add regarding Steve Jobs, needing to fill Steve Jobs' shoes, not an easy thing to do. Respect to Tim Cook for what he did with Apple during his time and stepping in after Steve. One thing I respect is for 15 years, Tim was the CEO, never once felt he tried to one-up Steve or do anything to take away from Steve Jobs' legacy. To me, that's pretty awesome in itself. I agree. He definitely didn't try to be Steve. He definitely didn't try to one-up him. He was a very different person, and he kind of like felt like he knew his role and just did it very well, and didn't like there's one Steve Jobs, and he didn't try to be Steve. He was a very different CEO, and I think it benefited Apple. I mean, it's not just me saying this. Look at their revenues, look at their stock. Like, was a perfect era for someone like Tim to come in and take the reins. And I think now maybe a good era to pivot back to be more of a product, more of an innovator than a operator. One more quick one before we get Ilan in here. Speaking about phones, Puff, who I still have no idea what happened on Spacer. It was like a rug, unless you're on stage. I think everyone got rugged in the audience. The speakers didn't in the audience. Shout out to all of you for making it back and finding us. I'm glad I didn't close the space when I thought we got rugged. But shout out to everyone who powered through the X issues. Puff says, talking about phones, I just got my Nothing phone, and I think they're about to take over the US by storm. Even Linus Tech just made a video about their Pro model. Speaking of innovation, they're most innovative phone company in the last 10 years. A couple of throwbacks for me. One, I grew up in the wireless industry in the era of flip phones, so Nothing phones are near and dear to my heart. Someone, I think it was Gene, maybe someone commented on they saw that I have a Motorola Razr on the shelf behind me, the real OGs. And Linus Tech, real throwback. I did not realize I had almost 2 million followers now. I'm old enough when I got in the repair industry. Linus Tech and a couple others were making like phone repair type videos way back in the day. Has expanded far beyond that now, obviously. But yeah, Outer, have you played around or have you seen these Nothing phones? Are you familiar at all?
No, not at all familiar. But I'll look them up. That sounds very interesting. Is a Nothing phone like an Emperor's clothes type thing, or is it actually a phone? Like, I have no idea. You could literally tell me anything, and I'd be like, "That's really cool, Cap." Like, what is it? Is it just like a flip phone, or what?
It's not a flip phone, so it's. We should have Puff share, because my understanding was they were basically like a phone without your apps. Like you could, you can talk, you can text, you can take pictures, but there's no doom scrolling.
But yeah, but I can just take off the apps on my phone and then I have a Nothing phone. Like,
True.
But at least it will airdrop my stuff. Like, I don't understand.
You're more disciplined than most.
Oh, I get it. It's like I understand. It's a centralized way to help you. It's like a self-help kind of phone thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it. Got it. All right. I
yeah.
understand the assignment. I was a bit confused there, but I get it. This is like, give this to your teenager type thing.
There is a playground. They have some AI in there. I guess you can deploy apps on it, so it's not totally app free. So I need to do some more research. I don't, because my first thought was it's just actually maybe there's no screen on it at all. Could that be?
Maybe it's black and white, like one of those. What are those readers? Kindles,
yeah.
Yeah, like it was that black and white. Am I thinking of the right thing?
Yep.
I don't know. I feel like is this whole like pivot to like this idea of being more analog, like in a tech AI mass, attention economy world, introducing the Nothing phone.
Yep.
Where you can rest your eyes easy, wake up in the morning with clarity, find out if you have a good sleep, and then live your IRL life. Like, is that the idea? So that I don't know. Like I feel like you're either in on this or you're out. I guess I don't know. Maybe I'm missing the point here, but like it sounds to me like my kid has a phone. And I just regulated all the things that could be on it. But at least I can still have a Find My feature and all of these other things that I'm used to having. So the selling point, like the offering, has to be pretty big for me to just be like, okay, bye Apple, which connects to my entire ecosystem. Like I think it's more about ease of use to me than like finding a new product. You know what I mean? Like if I'm going to disrupt the flow of my life that does work, it would have to be a pretty significant offering for me to do that. So I'll look this up and see if there's like any value prop there that I would actually be like, you know what, family, we're all ditching our iPhones.
Yeah, not for me. I get it, and I do think like your take on like going analog is now cool again. Like I think there's this. The Zoomers seem to be very like aware, health conscious. Even though they doom scroll all day, they know it's not good for them, and they'll wear the wired headphones. Like they're not drinking alcohol as much. Like I do think this, as the world becomes more and more connected, I I absolutely see a market emerging for things like the nothing phone, where you're not going to have access to those distractions 24/7. And I don't know, I'm like you. It's like I like my iPhone, phones plural, and I'm probably more likely now. One of them I don't have apps on. I have X, and I don't put so I've kind of made my own nothing phone out of one of them, that if I want to go take a walk with my dog and I don't want distractions, but I want to listen to a podcast, I can do that without any other distractions. It's also like the downside of it is I took off like years ago, I took off email notification. I took off all the I don't get notifications on my phone to where I'm not distracted all the time. The downside of that is Payne has to text me when I have a Telegram message, even though I'd say I'm going to actually pay attention to my DMs over there. Now there's too many, and I still miss them. So
we're like literally the same. The only way you can actually get a hold of me on my phone for real is if you text me.
Yep.
And so either you're in my like circle of people that could text me, or I will get to it, and I have like time set aside where I will go through my messages.
Same.
But I don't have but I don't have notifications. Like I just don't care enough to live that kind of life. But I also like have been thinking about this, like maybe the nothing phone is a good like device if you are struggling. You know what I mean? Like maybe if you really can't like have that self-discipline, then it could teach you some of that, which, hey, I'm here for it. I
didn't realize this. I am familiar with OnePlus phones. OnePlus made a surge as like an Android unlocked phone. They were big in like the, not necessarily much the Verizon world, but in the phone repair world, they were big. They're great unlocked phones to sell both new and pre-owned. He said that, so the company is called Nothing because its founder, who co-founded OnePlus, wanted technology to feel seamless and natural, that it fades into the background and feels like nothing at all. So that makes sense. So it's not nothing. It's just meant to feel seamless. He says, I use the Nothing earbuds, and they're the best I've ever used, from a sound quality to battery and even Bluetooth distance. My next phone will be Nothing phone and watch. Interesting. Okay. I need to check it out a little bit more.
I'm on the website. It's look interesting. They have dots on the website, and it's triggering my like designer OCD so badly because I thought that my computer screen was dirty. It's like if you go on the site, you'll instantly understand what I'm talking about. But it looks really cool. I mean, it looks just like, a regular phone. The headphones look interesting. They have like, they're square, like super, like way more square than the iPhone one. So I don't know. I mean, look, I'm up for things that are new. So maybe this will be fun to try. The price points don't seem like any really different than
like $500 ish.
Yeah. I don't know. Worth a try.
Puff dropped a picture of his wife's pink Nothing phone. Photo taken with his Nothing phone, which is the black one. Uses Nothing OS, which is based off Android. Has a lot more customability and utility. Feels like Linux compared to Windows or Apple. Interesting. Cool. So, Ilan, you've been super patient. Probably didn't come up here to talk about colonoscopies. Probably didn't come up here to talk about Nothing phone. Take it whichever direction you'd like. GM, always a pleasure.
Yeah, bro. Good to chat with y'all this morning. Very, broad reaching sort of conversation, which is dope. I mean, it's just a lot of shit going on, a lot of shit to sort of inform, people about. I think, the Apple conversation was a good one. The how Apple's moving is pretty awesome. Like you guys kind of nailed it with Jobs being the ultimate innovator, Cook coming in and doing his, operations thing and taking it global and getting Apple in everyone's hands in the world. I mean, that's how you want to scale. And then John Turnus coming in and, being young, he's much younger. I mean, that's going to obviously immediately, bring people that care about that kind of thing into the Apple fold. Because there's a lot, I mean, I won't call it ageist, but there's a lot of people that are just done with like boomers, and they want, they want young people with solid ideas to run shit. Because I mean, I think it's probably a pretty massive backlash to, largely what we see in politics with, old people not understanding the world and making decisions for everyone, that are very sort of counterintuitive and bad for the younger generations. They're starting to get a little fed up with that, so that's really interesting. And he's obviously like a hardware engineer guy, right? Like,
yep.
John Turnus is a hardware engineer, and so you see, I mean, obviously Johnny Ives has come out. He had like their idea is that like medallion thing, that the wearable that he's making with OpenAI, and that's going to be sort of integrated, AI integrated, and that takes us to Nothing Phone, right? Is I have Nothing headphones. I think they're really rad, and I mean, like everyone always asks about them. I do not have a Nothing Phone. I have been looking at it, and I think that what they sort of nail is the OS. And I mean, I think we're all of us, Cap, I think we're pretty similar in age. We're sort of tethered to iPhone and the OS, right? Like Apple, everything. And it's sort of our seamless understanding of how we do, how we do online, how we do the internet, how we do apps, how we do all of that stuff was sort of raised through Apple. And we're about to have a pretty massive shift, right, with AI. And I mean, I think having for Apple themselves, it's going to be important to nail that form factor. Like how do we, what's the next iteration, right? Like of understanding connectivity, and in particular with AI. And that's something that Nothing was sort of trying to nail, is to and I think that's why Android, all the other Android, like Apple people, are just so anti-Android, right? And it may be a Google thing, but it's also an OS thing. It's just clunky and doesn't feel natural if you're a iOS person. So yeah, I mean, I think the next iteration is going to be this AI sort of first integration into hardware, and what that looks like, right? Like how do we relate to connectivity, online information, in something that seems more seamless and more sort of cost plus, right? Than the phone, like picking up your phone and staring at your phone. Like I think that it's going to be really interesting, and I think that it's interesting when you look back at like our generation and the videos and stuff, and like the old TV shows and the tech that we use. But whenever, like, in a decade, whenever they look back at all of this generation, everyone's like head down, staring at phone, like walking around, bumping into stuff. It's going to be sort of a meme and hilarious for the next generation to be like, look at these idiots.
Oh, I agree.
Their posture and their eyesight and all this stuff because they didn't have whatever the next iteration is going to be. So
it's like they made Idiocracy the movie as like a forward-looking troll that came to reality, and then like in 20 years they're going to make Idiocracy 2, and it'll be a backwards-looking same thing, but it'll be more of a documentary. Two other things real quick. Corky, we'll get to you. I just want to get these in here before we hit the 10 o'clock hour. One, it was not engagement baiting on the YouTube title or the abstract title. There was a new stream that went live yesterday, although it's not live right now, so we're rugged already. They went live for about 10 hours yesterday, I think. A16Z launched MTS, MTS.now as their new media channel, catching, drifting off of the notoriety or fame of TVPN. And instead of going and buying one, they decided, hey, we're going to launch our own. MTS stands for Monitor the Situation. And I listened. So they had Mark Andreessen on yesterday. They had a few other speakers. Actually, I think Thread Guy followed Mark Andreessen. I get it. I'm not going to knock other content creators or other media outlets. I don't understand why they're not live right now. I think their whole thing when they launched anyways, like at least as I took it, was they were going to be on 24/7, and it was going to be a 24/7 stream rotating through host, and they would be monitoring the situation 24/7. And they lasted 10 hours and decided to take it down. They did, as you can see, got over 250,000 views during that 10 hours. I don't know. The hosts aren't nearly as good as the TVPN guys. Like, there's no natural. Maybe they're just rust, or they're just new. They don't have the feel for each other yet. But quality-wise, I didn't find it nearly as good or entertaining as TVPN. Not even in the ballpark. They need to either the hosts need to level up, or they need to level up their hosts. And what are we doing if we're not? I just don't understand why they're not live right now. That's my biggest pushback when they launched just yesterday, saying it was going to be. Their whole thing was like the new age version of CNN, and they were going to be monitoring the situation all day, every day. Other than that, though, the other topic I want to hit on real quick, because we are now a week away from Dominion. We have Bitcoin Vegas kicking off next Monday. Then we have Dominion by Doma taking place Wednesday and Thursday next week. We'll be out there in Vegas. Looking forward. If you're going to be there, let me know. If you'd like to come to Dominion, excuse me, head to luma.com/Dominion 2026. And I'll do a quick keeping it real segment, and then we'll talk about this afternoon's Doma on air.
Buying domains was low, Doma changing the game. One bridge, one standard, now the systems move the same. Registrar stay central, keep the trust and control. DNS and compliance, still they play the key role. Traded on chain, let new markets arise. Domain value unlocked. Welcome to DomainFi.
Again, this kicks off next Wednesday and Thursday. Incredible lineup from both the Bitcoin OG, the domain OGers, as well as crypto natives. Pretty incredible lineup. Again, April 29th and 30th. Looking forward to interviewing many of those guest speakers, and we'll be out there. They have also a Bitcoin Speakeasy Pass. If you're going to the Bitcoin conference, show that badge time at check-in. Use code CWC to get your discounts. And let me just double check real quick before we wrap things off. Speaking of keeping it real, Doma on air episode 4 is, I have the pleasure of top of Doma protocol, so you can give that a follow and hit notifications to see when we go live. That will go live at 3 p.m. Eastern today. Join us over there for more from Doma, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit of Dominion as well. But while I go grabbing a post from Doma Protocol, Quirky Quirk GM, what brought you up this morning?
GM, y'all. Colonoscopies did actually, Captain and Outer. You had me at colonoscopy. No, but for real, kind of it actually did. I love you guys riffing off each other. I like the music chat last week, and obviously this is funny too. But I'll bring it full circle. So I'm in med tech, med device, like health tech, working with a couple different like VCs and funds, and just kind of tapped into the whole like med tech scene. And talking about that, there's actually a ton of innovation going on right now in that, especially in AI. And just yesterday I was at a happy hour kind of conference with a bunch of people and met a gastroenterologist who is using AI to create avatars that will help people feel more comfortable with getting their colonoscopies, like both from like prep all the way through Cologuard. Even apparently he said that they send out 7 million of those Cologuard devices, and that only 5 million ever come back, at least so far, which is a massive opportunity to get people more comfortable. And so coming full circle, he's using AI, using avatars to like pull up a thing to talk to people about it, because it's a very uncomfortable topic at times, like a lot of fear. So I thought it was kind of funny how you guys mentioned that, but legit comes back around to AI and innovation, which what we're all here for.
Very cool. I'm all for the medical advancements, medical tech. I feel like the tech is there. We just haven't had the dots connected yet. And
yeah, exactly. That's what I've like loved to dig into, right? Is like the confluence of these technologies and healthcare, and having people get treated better and like doing life-saving things that otherwise wouldn't. And then one other quick thing, Outer, you talked about having those dark contact lenses. I played professional baseball, and like for a while, I actually saw this recently too. They had these like amber lenses that you could put in that were basically like wearing sunglasses but as contacts. It made you look like a devil child. But I definitely rocked those back in like 2008, and I actually literally just last week saw they're bringing them back again, and everyone's like, "Wait a second, these things existed 20 years ago."
Oh my God, I'm so getting those too.
Awesome.
I used to wear colored contacts, so I have like pretty light blue eyes, and they don't do this anymore. But they used to just have these like gels. Like if you're ever in like drama school or something, you know how they have these like spotlights and you can put like colored gels over them to change the color of the light. They literally had contacts like that. And I would get like yellow ones, purple ones, green ones. I could pretty much change my eye color to like any color with the gels, but it would still be like my iris, like it wouldn't look like it was painted. It like actually was just my eye with a gel over it. And I love those, but they don't make them anymore. So I haven't really done that. But if they're bringing back this whole like idea of a sunglass lens or whatever, yeah, that would be super cool too. I also, speaking of like AI advancements and that kind of thing, something cool for people to look up if you are interested is this thing called Giga Time. I'm trying to like find a way to say it without like, because I'm looking at the Microsoft article that they released on it, and it is so like full of jargon. But basically, like I'll give you the like the jargon, and then I'll tell you what it is. It's like scaling tumor microenvironment modeling using virtual population generated by multimodal AI. But the idea behind this, and it's all open source, it's like on GitHub, is they basically have like, I don't even know, like millions of slides, like pictures of slides of pathology. So it's really, really helping. They have like 24 cancer types, 306 cancer subtypes, like everything about cancer on slides is now in GigaTime, this Microsoft like open source for research GitHub. So yeah, if that's something that's of interest for people to explore, look up Microsoft GigaTime, and it's really, really cool with like all of the new discoveries they could have between like all of the different like outcomes from the patients that they now have based on what their like slide actually looked like at the time that they were diagnosed, and just connecting like all those pieces using AI, I think is super cool.
Yeah, what a time to be alive. This is my first time hearing it. I got a post pulled up now, but yeah, just wild time to be alive. And I think like this, a lot of this is happening behind the scenes. It's available to most of us today. It's just not connected in the sense that your primary care doctor doesn't have access real time to all of your health monitors, your Auras, your Apple Watch, your Whoops. I think that is the next step in preventative healthcare, is connecting all this stuff in real time, not just getting some AI chatbot to give you advice when you prompt it, but having, bringing it into the, a real human that's looking at this stuff and acting proactively on, your health and welfare, or health and wellness. And excited for, I mean, I think we're here. It's happening now.
If anything, it's almost like you now have like a free, air quote, second opinion. You know what I mean? Like obviously get a second opinion from a real, physician if you want a second opinion. But if you don't want a second opinion from another physician, and you're questioning the first opinion, like really awesome to be able to put all of your whatever you're going through into an agent and just be like, hey, what are your thoughts? You just have to be very careful at how you prompt it, right? Like if you make sure that it's like using real research and quote me all the research studies, and like you can set it up in a way that it's like pretty good at navigating like a scientific journey. And you never want to refer to it as yourself. You want to go in and be like, I'm a medical student and I'm studying this case, and then you are the case, right? Like there's ways of doing these things, but it's really interesting about like how much more insight you can get into stuff that maybe you'll even ask at the doctor's office. You might be like, hey, there's a couple studies on this new medication. What do you think about it? And sometimes the doctor might be like, oh yeah, I heard about this. Like, yeah. So I don't know. I don't think it's about like coming in with a hot take from AI to your doctor. I think it's more like doing your own background deep dive into what's happening to you. So I think you like just as a patient have so much power than you've ever had over your own condition in treatment.
Agreed wholeheartedly. I'm sure it's super annoying for some doctors when it used to be just Google. Now you got people talking with chatbots and they think they're PhD in medicine after talking with a chatbot for an hour. I don't know if you heard, but like related, I was asking Claude about a research article, or a medical research paper on extreme doses of creatine, like upping from 5, which is normal, to all the way up to 20 grams a day to offset sleep deprivation. And for those that were sleep deprived, the higher load would increase your processing speed. And I'm talking to Claude about it. And where I'm going with this is I didn't use that exact prompt as you just laid out, but I was asking it for its thoughts on this research paper. What are the pros and cons? And Claude not that I told it to remember, it just knows. I like it assumed that because I host a show called Coffee with Captain every Monday through Friday that it is aware of, it assumes I consume copious amounts of caffeine during said show. And so it started like cautioning me like the impacts of 20 grams of creatine, not just for, you know, some normal person, but for someone that consumes as much caffeine as you. And it was like one of my step back moments, like, oh, this thing might actually be becoming sentient because it knows. I kid, but it definitely has a pretty good memory and can connect the dots across chats and deduce what might be important to you, knowing a lot about you if you talk to it frequently. Anyways, Quirky Quirk, take us home. We got to get out of here, but go ahead if you got a quick 30, 60 seconds.
Yeah, I'll keep it quick. I definitely talk a long time about the med tech stuff, but yeah, no, it's the creatine thing. There was an article yesterday. I know someone who's an epidemiologist, like for the state that I live in Minnesota, and she was like telling me how, oh, there's this article just came out about how AI is so bad at medical stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, that might be the case if you're just going to go to ChatGPT and say like, hey, like, tell me how like creatine is for me, or tell me about this or whatever. But like, I was like, that's just completely not how AI should be used, even though it's being used that way, right? Like, but if you do it with the guardrails in place, if you do it with the proper channels, if you have the proper setup, like it can be overwhelmingly powerful, right? Like not just for lay people, but for physicians, for researchers, for like you name it. So I think there's a big battle for us to kind of wage on that, just to make sure that people don't go all like negative Nancy on the power of AI in medicine, because it's coming and it's not going anywhere, and it's got a lot of bandwidth to change the way that people are treated and like really truly help people.
Yep. Nope. I agree. It's like money. Like they say, money just makes you more of what you are. If you're an asshole and you come into a lot of money, you're just gonna be a bigger asshole. If you're a good person, you come into a lot of money, you're gonna be a better person. Similar with AI, if you're an idiot, AI is going to make you look like a bigger idiot. And if you're an intellectual, AI will make you more efficient, more productive, and a smarter person. Last thought on, since we've been talking medicals, not that it's colonoscopy related, but the trade of the day comes to you courtesy of Amazon, not Amazon. But if you would have saw this news break, I don't know, an hour ago, Amazon just launched their national GLP-1 weight loss program. Injectable treatment starts at $299 a month, while oral options start at $149 a month. I'm going to go check it because I'm going to tell you the trade of the day would have been just go ahead and short Hims. Let's see.
Wait, is this like you can just get Ozempic on Amazon now without a prescription?
Yep. Yep. I mean, you probably have to have a prescription, I'm guessing. But a lot of these telehealth things now, it's like you just not even have to get on the phone with a doctor. You just fill in a questionnaire and they'll send you whatever you qualify for. But yeah, this is One Medical, they're calling it. And Hims hasn't sold off as hard as I thought it would yet, but that might be the trade of the day, is go open up a short on Hims, because Amazon will eat their lunch if they decide to encroach on that telehealth / male medicine vertical. Dr. Rhonda Patrick, for my supplement research, not familiar, I would check it out. Puff also says sister's an anesthesiologist at Mayo Clinic, and she told her damn near every doctor uses AI to diagnose people. So everyone can do the same at home and get into the dangerous field of self-diagnosis that doctors used to claim was dangerous. I mean, it's going to be used, and I think like it's a great tool, a great resource. Like good doctors could become great doctors. Great doctors can now become the best in the world with the help of AI. It's also doesn't make someone who has a GED a qualified to diagnose you because they're using ChatGPT. Like it also, ChatGPT, Claude, they'll hallucinate. They'll be wrong. They're pathological liars. Like it's not everything. It's wrong about a lot of stuff, but it helps you think. So if you're a good thinker and you're a good problem solver, it helps you solve problems a lot faster. It's just going to make you a lot more efficient, a lot more productive. But yeah, I don't see it replacing doctors anytime soon. I'm hopeful that all the wearable tech, all the data that we have on our health is streamlined to become actionable data, where most of it right now, it's kind of like our health data is kind of like our digital pictures. We take all these pictures, they just sit in our camera roll, and we don't ever, most of the 99% of them, we don't ever go back and look at again. Similar with a lot of people's health data, they collect it all, and then they wake up and they get their sleep score and they move on. They never think about it again. Outer, great show today. People who like the, I don't know, we might need to come up with a name for our Tuesday show, because I feel it's like a variety show that's not. Like, we covered all the topics, we hit all of the headlines. At the same time, people enjoy the back and forth and some of the nonsense.
Coffee with Captain Unhinged. I don't know.
This Tuesdays are unhinged. We used to be Fridays. We've moved Fridays to Tuesdays to get everyone's week off.
Colonoscopies with Captain. That's perfect.
So this, Von Friend said this is not new. They've had this for a while. They just extended the same pricing that Roe, Hims, and the pharma companies already have. Okay, so them offering the GLP-1s apparently isn't new per Von Frunten. It's just they've reduced their pricing to become more price competitive with the others.
I don't know. I'll check it out. I'm like, so I am nowhere near being overweight. I'm borderline, maybe even underweight. I'm not sure, but I'm a climber, so I do have muscle. But I'm curious about GLPs just for like, I love sugar, and it's very hard. I go through like strong keto bouts to battle my sugar addiction. I have no other like ailments in that way. I don't even drink alcohol. But I love sugar. I absolutely love like milk chocolate, like the worst sugar you can think of. And so and I am a sugar addict. It cannot be that I can have a little bit. Like, I either have none and I'm okay, and I literally like count my sugar sobriety. It's that bad for me. And having like cancer, not a great combination, right? So, but then I could keep reading these like GLP things about how like it's not just about weight loss. It's actually about like making sure that your insulin is properly regulated. So I'm a bit of like, I'm a little bit on a journey to see if it would be like beneficial. Obviously, I don't want to lose weight though, so I don't know if there's like a micro dosing of it, which is something I've been looking into. Like, can you microdose GLP so that you get like a little bit of like the sugar, like insulin regulation effect without like getting the weight loss effect of it? Anyways, I'm definitely looking this stuff up because I'm very curious about it.
Let me know what you find out, because I'm in the same boat. I don't want to lose weight per se, but I would love to curb my sugar addiction. And it's very real. Like, I went and rode 10 miles on the Peloton on, must have been Sunday, and immediately get off and consume probably like a 2,000 calorie toddy chocolate milkshake that was full of Nutella and Peter creams and like no joke.
Okay, I'm not the only one in this situation. Like, yeah, all of this exercise, being super fit, eating well, all of these things, and then I'm just like, great, I'm just gonna eat like a whole thing of marzipan because I like almonds and chocolate. Like, why am I doing that? That's ridiculous. So, okay, I will look into this for us because I don't want to lose muscle, and I do keep reading that you actually lose muscle mass on this stuff. So that's what worries me. Like.
Von Friend said insulin resistance is real, and you can 100% microdose. DM him with any questions. This has been his full-time job since 2018.
What? Okay, here we go. He's gonna save my life.
Next Tuesday on Coffee with Captain, we'll be talking GLP-1s and hardcore sugar addictions.
I'm in.
I'm an addict.
We'll probably talk about that randomly, anyways, whether we forget about it or not. But oh yeah, and I'm getting some DMs. So this is your last call, because I'm going to check DMs probably at noon today while I have lunch. And then after that, I won't check them until the following noon. So if you do want to join the little like AI workshop thing that I'm going to do at noon on Friday, Eastern time, you have to DM me, because then I'll make a group DM with you all in Pain and Cap, and we could figure out how to get you in there.
Looking forward to it. Can't wait. Looking forward to Friday. Looking forward to this afternoon. Doma on Air, episode 4. We'll be live at 3 p.m. Eastern. The Doma account is pinned up top. We'll go live from that account around 3 o'clock. You're welcome to join us. Would love to have you there. And I effing love ice cream and chocolate. It is, there's a lot of vices you could have. And so like, I'm okay with those being my vices. But at the same time, if I'd rather it be a pill. I guess I have to inject myself with something, and it doesn't, I don't riddle. I don't like shrink to nothing, but yet just curbs the sugar addiction. I'm here for it. That said, enjoyed the show today. Appreciate everyone who added to it. Always a lot of fun. We'll be back tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern time. every weekday, every Monday through Friday, and Tuesdays are just now Mayhem, or actually Mayhem said maybe we rename Tuesday's show Coffee with Captain Outer Limits. I don't know. Still working title.
Okay, we clearly need a branding thing for Tuesdays. I'll think about it. I'll be back on video soon too. It's just so we're in the middle of moving. I didn't like bail out on video again. I just literally am not at the studio where I set up the place to like be on video. So I'll be there soon.
Teacher Katie says always, you always have the most interesting things you've done. True Crypto King says, just FYI, Kevin Warsh is scheduled to testify before Senate. That's starting now. I assume that's for his like confirmation hearing. I'm not positive on that, but probably some more news coming out of the TradFi streets today. So we will get everyone updated on that tomorrow. Until then, have a wonderful, wonderful day, everyone.